Nairobi is a second grader in my class who loves books but struggles when it comes to reading comprehension and being able to retell a story with proper details. During many reading conferencing sessions, Nairobi and I work together to sharpen up her fluency and comprehension skills so that she can read with better flow and also understand what she reads. Before we got started, I interviewed Nairobi using the Burke Reading Interview so I could learn more information about how she feels about reading and what she thinks of herself as a reader. According to the interview, Nairobi feels that she is not a very strong reader, but that she is an okay reader. The interview helped me learn that Nairobi looks up to people who are able to read words and figure out how to read words that are difficult. According to my observation of Nairobi during reading and literacy times, it is obvious that Nairobi enjoys reading books. She often loves to participate in class and answer questions related to a story we read. Many times Nairobi's answers to reading comprehension questions are not correct and are sometimes completely irrelevant, which makes it obvious that she struggles with comprehension. To expand and support her reading comprehension in an organized method, I decided to focus Nairobi's instruction on reading comprehension using various strategies such as using the narrative elements and the 5 W's: who, what, where, when, and why. I began my 5 W's lesson by having Nairobi make a prediction about what the story will be about. According to Nell Duke and David Pearson, authors of professional article Effective Practices for Developing Reading Comprehension, explicit attempts to get students to engage in prediction behaviors have proved successful in increasing interest in and memory. So before you read, we're going to talk about the 5 W's, okay? As we're reading, I want you to be thinking about these 5 W's. So let's quickly go through the 5 W's. First W is who. So when you're thinking about it is important to have a purpose to reading a story. Before allowing Nairobi to read the story, I wanted to take some time explaining and going over what the 5 W's are and setting the purpose of what she should be looking for while reading. In the story, okay? So that will tell you who the story was about, okay? Then the next W is what. What is the story about? It is important to check for comprehension during reading by asking various questions about what the characters are doing and what is happening in the story. What does she see when she looks out the window?
Let's make a snowman, Daddy.
And you say you've never made a snowman before, right? Have you seen snow before? Yeah? Well, I guess I've made a snowman, but I haven't really made a big snowman because does it snow a lot here in Georgia? It doesn't. Sometimes students come across words that they may be unfamiliar with. It is important to take a few seconds to check for understanding with words. Okay, what is mittens? Do you remember?
They go on your hands.
They go on your hands, and then what else is she putting on around her neck?
A scarf.
A scarf. Why do you think she's putting these things on?
Because it's so cold outside.
It's just very cold outside, yeah. So who are the characters in the story so far?
Amy and her dad.
Amy and her dad. And what are they doing?
They're walking.
I felt it was important to take time halfway through the story to check in with Nairobi to make sure she was paying attention to our goal or purpose that we had set before reading the story. Probably for the head. And where are they right now?
Outside.
They are outside, yeah. And do you think we can figure out when this is happening? When this is happening? When? How do you know? How do you know it's in the evening? After the reading, Nairobi used a 5 W's graphic organizer to help her connect the story to the 5 W's. We worked on this graphic organizer together and discussed each W as we filled out the graphic organizer. She will later use this to help her summarize the story. Nairobi's response to the 5 W's graphic organizer and summary of the story using the graphic organizer allowed me to assess the success of the use of the comprehension strategy. Nairobi struggles to add details to her summary, which causes her to retell very short, basic information. you to tell me who the characters were. So start by telling me Amy, Daddy, and Mommy were, what did they do, where were they, when. Before we read, we're going to take a quick picture walk. Taking a picture walk is another reading comprehension strategy of making predictions before reading. Having Nairobi do this allowed her to use her schema to guess what might be happening in the story without reading it.
And Grandma got it. Because Grandma got it.
Speak up a little bit.
I think this is the boy, and
Okay.
he is wrapping the paint, and this is Grandma Carter, and they're making pizza.
Okay, maybe. Let's see. Okay, what do you think is happening? To be able to better comprehend a story, it's important for the student to be able to understand tricky words that he or she may come across. That is why before reading, I wanted to explore some of the words that I felt Nairobi might be unfamiliar with. Page 6 first. Go to page 6. And let's look at that word that starts with G on page 10. What does that say? Do you know what that says? Let's cover it up and try to read it. Ghana. Do you know what Ghana means? I wanted to make sure we explored a very unfamiliar word that had a cultural connection to it. Nairobi was unfamiliar with the word Ghana. In order to help her better understand the word and make meaning to why that word is in the story later when she reads it, I used the word world globe to give her a visual representation of what and where is Ghana in contrast to where she is on the globe. That is what it is. It's a country in Africa, okay? Nairobi, do you have one or two? You have one grandma? Okay, can you tell me a little bit about her?
I got two.
You got two grandmas? Okay, let's talk about one.
Since the goal of this lesson was to compare and contrast two similar characters in the story, I wanted to allow Nairobi to think about her two grandmas and think about how they are the same and how they are different.
Related to you?
Because my grandma had my mom, and then my mom had me.
Okay, so it's your mom's mom, right? What about your grandma number 2? Is she your dad's mom?
She had my dad, and then I came out.
Okay, so one of your grandmas is your mom's mom, and the other grandma is your dad's mom. Let's talk about how both of your grandmas are alike. How can you tell me how they're alike?
They both love me.
Okay, they both love you. Okay.
I felt that it was important to show Nairobi how to compare two characters in a story using 3 traits: personality, actions, and looks. We did this by making a connection to her own grandmas and talking about their personality, actions, and looks before starting to read the story.
How they feel.
How they feel or how they are. When your personality can be mean, your personality can be caring, nice. So think about how their personalities are the same or different. And then actions.
They're not really the personality. Sometimes my first grandma is nice to me.
Okay, then the other one? Then the second one?
She really is.
So the first one is nice and the second one is really nice? Okay. And what about actions? What are some things that they do that's the same or different? Even if it's with you. Some things that they do with you.
They dance.
Okay, they both dance. Cool. And what about something that's different between the two?
Well, the first one dances a lot.
Okay.
And sometimes the second one does not really dance, but she sings a lot.
Okay, so first grandma likes to dance and the second grandma likes to sing. Okay, cool. Well,
After reading the story, Nairobi and I did a Venn diagram graphic organizer to compare and contrast the two characters in the story. Overall, through this case study, I learned that Nairobi is very capable of being a successful reader with comprehension.
She needs more organized and structured methods to reflect on her readings, such as various reading comprehension graphic organizers. For future lessons, I will continue to provide effective individual and collective strategies for reading comprehension.